Hey everybody, welcome back to more fabrication fun here at the Red Barn, where last week I got all distracted by the thing with the wing, and that is Racer Benz here, our mid-engine Corvette suspended center-seated track day car project, and that is on hold for 2 seconds while I'm waiting for some parts and some of Martin's time to help me with some things, which means this week we are back on the Ferrari 360 Swap 914. I got to get the drivetrain out so that I can finish all the other stuff that needs to be taken care of in the engine compartment so that I can put the motor back in one last time and get to work, really get to work on getting that thing started. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's see how far we get this week. Hope you enjoy. Well, you've seen the motor come in and out of this car enough times that I didn't bother filming it, but yes, I pulled the drivetrain out, and when you see it out of the car, it is hard to believe that it fits in a 914. It looks pretty massive. And no, it doesn't come out of the car like that. I have to remove the air oil separator and the intake manifold. You can see that the quick jacks, they just don't get quite high enough with this 1.5 foot tall intake manifold to get it out from under the car with the jack contraption that I need to use to move it around. So I'm still trying to noodle out a way to get the car just a little bit higher. It looks like it's got to go up maybe another foot or so, and then I would never have to take anything apart and the whole drivetrain could come out. And yes, it comes out, other than those two things, it comes out just like this, the entire exhaust system, everything, which is pretty cool. I don't have to disassemble much to get this thing out of the car. But anyway, and the reason I took it out, I should have done this way sooner. I just was trying to get, I was ahead of myself on thinking I could get the car to run. Anyway, I wanted to, having redone the bulkhead plate and the internal hard lines, I decided to change how I was approaching some of the hard lines back here. And for instance, you can see I've got the clutch hard line coming out of that fitting and running up around. I haven't figured out how I'm going to end it over here, where I cut over to the soft line that runs to the transmission, to the slave cylinder for the hydraulic clutch. But you can see how I approached doing this. It's pretty typical. I took a piece of welding rod. This happens to be some aluminum, and I just start working out the shape that I want. And so I'm just going to keep chipping away at that until I finish all the hard lines in here. And then I'm going to go to work. As you can see, I just have a little magnet set up holding the battery box approximately where I want it. And so the hard lines, the battery box, and I don't know that there's anything else I have to do under here. Oh, I got to mount the mega fuses someplace. So I got to work all that stuff out. But I'm going to, again, just wrap up the hard lines for this segment. Well, this doesn't come through very well, but I work up the shape. Had to do a little patching there. And measure that. And now I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece of the 3/16 line. And using this as the template, start bending it up and try to get it to be fit in place so I get the bends exactly where I want them, because this flexes a little bit and all that good stuff. So let me go make that first section of straight. Straight tube. And after using the template to work up this one, I went ahead and got the flare done on that end, and now I'm going to do the flare on this end. But what you might find interesting is I'm going to use the bandsaw to cut this to length. I was using that little tubing cutter, but what it did was, and it may be because this material is the Easy Bend stuff, but after it was cut, it was pinching the cut area down, and I was not getting a reliable flare. And so what I determined was, if I use the bandsaw to carefully cut it straight, I can then tidy up the end, tidy up the outside part of the cut with a file. And it's real easy to tell. You can feel when you've got all the burrs gone. And then I just use a countersink to trim out the inside, deburr the inside of that. And you can actually see that you've got all of the burr off the inside. And then it's back to the flaring tool. And as you know, you get the right size die in there. Get the tube in there. And the only thing you got to worry about when you're making these lines is to make sure you have enough straight going into the fitting. Whoops. Oh, yeah. Whoops. Almost forgot. Get the stuff on there first. That was close. Always get your fittings on there. And then the die is fit. Everything's put in place. Snugged. And as you know, let me bring you around here. Operation 0. That sets everything in place. And then snug this down. Then it goes to operation 1 for the size tubing that you're working with, 3/16 in this case. Make sure that's tight. Pull till it stops. Move this to operation 2 for 3/16. Pull till it stops. Wow. Sorry about that. Out comes this. And there's your flare. Now you can see that's how that tube nut, it's actually got the same angle on the inside. So when that comes down, it completely backs up the flare. And then this attaches it to the fitting. So let's go put it in the car. Very exciting stuff, I know, but here we go. This was a complicated one, by the way. I don't do this very often, so let's see. That goes in there. And I'll add some more line clips. But here you can see that is my hard line to there. Tried to get that all matchy. And you can tweak these things a little bit. They move pretty easy. And then this one is that. And that is the driver's side, or excuse me, passenger side rear brake line. And yeah, this is getting kind of crowded down in here. I was looking at this thinking, I wonder if I should redo this one and have it follow this one down, but this is where the shifter cables come through. And yeah, they're coming through at an angle, so there's probably plenty of room. But this starts to get tight, you know, in terms of enough room to get this straight that you need to get the flare built. And at the end of the day, you'll never see this. So I think I'm going to call that good. And now it's the same thing from here to the other mirror image side of this. But anyway, there you go. And a little while later, all of the hard lines are done. So, well, almost done. So I changed I worked out how I want to do this. I just taped it in there to try to hold it a little bit. But I made up a little bracket that's going to hold a 45-degree bulkhead connector, and then this will go soft line from here back to the fitting on the trans. So it'll be just one little soft line to the slave cylinder. And then I still got to work out a couple more clips. But there's the clutch and brake coming to that side, and then there's the T-fitting from the inside of the car, and then that one comes up and around and over to this fitting. And again, a couple more clips and that'll be all locked down, but it's pretty tidy. And I may, as I mentioned earlier, I may make a shield that covers this just because of the pulleys and the belts and stuff, and this being the fuel line. But it's pretty out of the way. And here you can see the battery box. And now it's to figure out, these are the mega fuses, and I got to figure out a spot for them, because the main battery cables, the power cable has to come down and into this assembly. One goes off to the starter, and one goes off to the ECU feed. And yeah, so try to come up with a place where I can route fairly heavy cables and have it be out of the way of the exhaust. I mean, you know, it could be up here someplace on top of the long. It could be on that. I don't know. So got to figure that out. And then I got to land on a battery mount at the same time. And then that's all the fab work I'll need to do in here before putting the motor back in and starting to focus on running it. I was actually toying with maybe trying to, you know, pull all the electronics out of the car. It wouldn't take that much. And try to fire it just sitting there on the ground, because with the lack of an oil cooler, and I'm going right from the scavenge line up to the air oil separator, I've got the whole oiling system sitting right out there. And anyway, we'll see. But now this is almost done, so yay. So here's my little tab for the bulkhead connector for the clutch line. So I got to get this welded in. And that was just held in there with a couple of magnets to keep it in position. So those can come out. And I just had three little plug weld holes. All right, now to work on the battery tray. I've made a little bit of progress here, and you can see I have that same sort of battery floor mount that I had made earlier. And I just tacked it on just to get a first fit. Tacked it onto a little bit of 1/2 by 1/2 square tube with a tab on the end of it into a riv nut. And this is still able to rotate, so I'll get that set to level. And then I've got, I just added a stud to the back of the firewall and worked up this little intermediate bridge piece, and that will get put on like that and welded in. And so I have just a little support structure for this corner. And then on this end, I think I'm gonna make a tab that just sits, you know, fastens onto the underside of this, comes up and has one fastener right here. And that'll support the whole back of this tray. With this, even with this minor tipped edge up, it's not going anywhere with these dimple dies and things. Plus, this particular battery capturing system bolts down here. It's an aluminum box that secures the battery in there, so it's all very stable. And you know, I don't want to just put, you know, a tab here and have this corner unsupported, so we'll see. But right now I'm going to go ahead, and now that I've got this thing fit, I'll pull the tab off and go bench weld that tab, bring it back on over here, and then tack this lower part on in place, pull it all off and weld it. So that's going to be my battery mount. Oh, and some of you might say, well, wait a second, you have this great big surface right here. Why not just have a brace up to, you know, up in here somewhere? And the answer is because you can see those two holes back there. Those, I suspect, will end up being the pass-throughs for the oil line. So as tempting as it is to put something right here, which was the original plan, as I was looking through this, I thought, you know what, I need this section coming out towards the engine to be clear for those oil lines. And remember, you can see I've already got the first of the battery cable mock-ups kind of, you know, in process. And I also have to put the mega fuses in here. So I'm thinking the mega fuses may go in sort of this location. And without taking you through all the details, I've got the wiring schematic that I'm going to be following. And so now I'll go weld all this stuff up. Psych, nope, I didn't like that at all. I started trying to fit that and just, I didn't like how it was turning out. So I scrapped the little bridge piece and bent up this little tab system and worked out the bends and all that. And so obviously this is still too long, but this locates on the same stud, comes down, it'll get welded to the bottom of this and then trimmed off, and it'll look super cool. I might drill a little hole right there just to add some invisible style points. But that's completely level with this right here on it. And so that is super tidy. And yeah, I just, you know, you can only see I had a couple little tacks holding the actual battery tray box to this. So now I'll work out a tab for that end of it. And when it gets here, we'll put a fastener here and then weld that all together. And this will just have a, you know, that'll be one piece attached to that. And we'll have a nice tidy little battery mount, and that will be done. And then it's on to the mega fuse location. And you can see I've got the wire to, you know, the big cable going to the ECU feed here. So I think that with the mega fuses here, I'll have, well, you'll see it when I get to it. But I think this is going to be nice and tidy. Anyway, here we go. And after going in and out under this car 150 times to fabricate tabs and measure things and tack them together and realize you tacked it in the wrong place, I didn't film any of this stuff. I can't imagine you would find it interesting. Leave me a comment if your preference is to watch me do all this stuff versus just see the end result. We have a finished battery mount, and as you saw before, stud in the firewall, rib nut over there, rib nut in the top of the longitudinal with a couple of stainless steel tabs that are welded to the bottom of the box, as is this this 1/2x1/2. I'll cap the end of that here too before I powder coat it. But there's the battery box, and it's not going anywhere. Yes, it's as low and as far forward as it can be to give me as much room up here for the airbox. And I have not landed on a design for those airboxes, but I wanted as much room as possible, and I didn't want the battery encroaching on that space. So it may not be the easiest thing in the world to service, but you can get to it. It's just going to be underneath an airbox probably. Anyway, so next is to mount these mega fuses, and I have not really made much progress on that. This might be too close to the exhaust. There's a couple things I got to deal with. One is this cable is not small, and if I were to show you the mega fuse wiring approach, it's positive of the battery directly to the starter solenoid with no fuse, which I guess is pretty typical. This is how I did it in the LS car. And then from the starter back to the mega fuses, through the mega fuse over to the alternator, and then this one would be, it says main fuse panel, which is essentially me feeding my ECU lead here with this big honking cable. So I've got to get a big cable from the battery positive to the mega fuse, from the mega fuse to here, and then from the positive to the starter as well. So what I think I'm going to do is essentially eliminate this leg right here and basically run positive to the mega fuse and just from the mega fuse to the starter on that same post, essentially just eliminating this leg, which would be an unfused wire to the starter. And then just the same thing here, right? Over to the alternator, and then the big cable up to the ECU bulkhead connector here. But I don't know where the best place for that mega fuse is going to end up. Is it going to be down here? Is it going to be up, up on the wall here maybe? There's an outside chance it could get onto the firewall here. I don't know yet. And I'm not going to accomplish that in this episode, which means I'm going to call it for this week and say, as always, thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and tell all your friends. And we'll talk to everybody again real soon. Y'all take care now. Bye-bye.